Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Funny Business Podcast. Let's hope we can all catch a vibe on this episode. Not quite sure what Mike is doing with his hands. Maybe he's had too much tryptophan. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It is, yes, Mike, this episode will come out after Thanks. No. Yes, it is. No. Yeah, listen. Yes.
I'm listening.
But by the time the next podcast comes out, Thanksgiving will be over. So a happy let me be the first person to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you, if you're listening to this, I hope you're planning a lot of side dishes. I hope you eat your turkey. I'm tired of the disrespect that turkey's getting. People just act like turkey sucks. And you know what? I hate the turkey slander.
Dude, I've been having a turkey sandwich since I can recall. I don't even know how long I've been having a turkey sandwich for lunch for most of my life. I don't know what these people got against turkey, but y'all can try slices of chicken meat and see how you like that. Nobody likes chicken meat. That's disgusting.
I mean, nothing's better than hot turkey and gravy. On Thanksgiving, there's nothing better.
I wanted to tell you when I was moving my hands up, I was imitating what SpongeBob did when he was trying to get his driver's license, and it was Mrs. Puff was like, "Oh, you got how many points do I need to do it? 6. And how many do I need to pass? 6." He goes, "Ooh," and his hands are up. 100, 600 to pass. You got 6.
It's tough.
What a way to start off.
Very tough.
What a way to start off the episode, Matt. But so I guess Thanksgiving is happening. So enjoy it when it's coming. Because we got another stuffed-filled episode the following week for Black Friday. So be sure to enjoy yourselves. You do have Thanksgiving Eve, so enjoy it. Make good choices. Don't do anything stupid. Get a ride home. Get an Uber.
Busiest night of the year for partying.
It is. It certainly is. And that's odd because usually you would think New Year's Eve would be the party. So, Correct. Matt, I'm going to throw a little 180 here.
I love it.
And I know we are talking about Thanksgiving, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Christmas today on the podcast.
Well, it still is the Christmas season, so correct. This is acceptable.
So Matt, I was digging through the internet and I found Georgia just has something against Elf on a Shelf that they actually made it, I don't want to say a joke, but made it a point to release a statement on the Georgia judge's Twitter page. So Cobb County Superior Court Chief Judge Robert Leonard posted a mock order on Twitter, which was this episode this last week, banishing these elves on a shelf. Tired and living in elf on the shelf tyranny. Not looking forward to the elf forgetting to move and causing your kids emotional distress. I'm a public servant and I will take the heat for you. My gift to tired parents, Leonard tweeted.
So they just canceled Elf on Shelves?
Jokingly. Like, you know how they always say, like, like air traffic control, all the plans are out because, Santa Claus is coming to town and they got to make airway and something like that. I don't know, I'm not in air traffic control, but this was a mockery about elves on a shelf. So according to the holiday tradition, if you don't know what Elf on a Shelf is, you may have heard of Elf on the Shelf before, but have you heard of that's a TikTok meme if anybody didn't know. For those who didn't get it are probably like, what?
I understood.
Thank you.
If that helps.
You're
welcome.
Elves are hid in homes for weeks before Christmas and report back to Santa on who's been naughty and who's been nice. The elf dolls are supposed to move to different locations each night. It says, given the risks of such emotional damage and supply chain issues caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the judge wrote that he had no choice but to banish elves from Cobb County. He did not make an allowance for parents who don't feel overwhelmed by the, quote, elf on the shelf tyranny, writing in this tweet. If you love your elf, keep your elf. No contempts.
I never did Elf on a Shelf as a kid.
Right.
So I don't have a strong attachment to this, but I know like a lot of kids go like crazy for it. I guess, I don't know. Do you think this is funny?
I mean, it's a typical typical holiday season joke where, somebody inserts themselves into the holiday season. I more or less don't want to talk about this judge, give him the spotlight per se. I just want to kind of talk about Elf on the Shelf.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Okay, cool. Glad we're on the same page.
Moving on to the next topic.
No, I don't understand it.
It's a really sad excuse for kids to be nice. And I hate to call out the parents who use Elf on the Shelf, but I'm going to call them out.
Go off, King.
The fact that you have to use a toy, a stuffed toy, to get your kids to do the chores, do things that are nice. That's not the point of Christmas, and it goes down to the bottom root. That's not the point of Christmas, or that's not the point of the holiday season. So for you to have an elf on a shelf or wherever else you decide to locate it, come on, you guys are parents. That is more freaking work for you to move around an elf in your entire house. I'm sorry if any kids are listening to this podcast. Elf on the Shelf isn't real. Your parents move it every damn night that you go to sleep. I'm sorry. Now, Santa Claus... never mind.
If we have kids listening to this podcast, we have bigger issues, my friend. Okay.
File a complaint to HR.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot more work for parents, unnecessary work. I don't know how many times I've heard people say oh, almost forgot to move the elf on the shelf this morning. Just what's the point of it? It's not, I don't get it. And you would just put them in weird places. And the only funny videos are not kind of funny. Right. Yeah. It's the parents are hanging from the ceiling fan. Have you ever seen that one? Yeah. And the final day, or if the kids are bad, it's well, elf's gone. That's kind of funny. But yeah, I never got the appeal of it. Maybe it's because did your parents ever do this with you?
They didn't do the Elf on the Shelf. We did, the milk and cookies.
Right.
We did those things. At one point, I think we actually placed a beer because I was curious to see if Santa was going to drink the beer. He did.
Did you guys do carrots for the reindeer?
Yeah, we did feed. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how set up this was, but we put out specific deer feed that was meant for the reindeer. This was I don't want to call it branded deer feed, but it was branded. It's keep the reindeer energized. And so we put it out the night before. I walk out in the morning, and there was actually a horn. There was actually an entire set, completely removed from the deer's head. I think it was a 3-pointer. It was a 3-point.
Yeah.
And it was one strand of it. So assuming that he only had it on the other side too, but it was just the horn itself. It was a 3-pointer.
And you never thought what happened?
I never thought I think the set I thought it was I'm a little not confident about it because I thought my parents set that up. But then I also think that it actually happened.
To this day, you think it happened?
To this day, I think it happened. Because
you think a reindeer came in the house and left his antlers?
Matt, it was outside.
Mike.
Matt, it was outside. It was literally out in the woods.
Yes. You think the Christmas spirit just magically happened to put antlers by the feed?
Sorry, I should give a little more context here.
Am I confused?
You are very confused.
Okay.
We used to actually feed our deer that would come out onto the property.
Okay.
So that's why I feel it's believable, because it was very frequent that the deer would go out and get the feed that we would put out during the night.
Okay.
So that's why
it's a little more believable.
It's not I was okay. My parents were one random day, let's put out reindeer food in order for the reindeer to help out. This was very consistent. Every day we used to spread feed in the backyard for the deer to come and eat. So it was just very ironic that we put out reindeer food along with the other feed that was put out. and we got a a horn from a buck. And it was a baby buck, just considering the size of the antler that was there. So that's why I believe it. Not because we put out some random day. We're like, oh, let's just throw out some reindeer food. Like
I was going to say, buddy, we got to have a talk. Was there any blood? No blood? No.
And typically, I mean...
right, they don't bleed when that happens.
Have you ever went hunting?
No.
Now I'm seeing.
I know they don't bleed when the antlers come off. I just didn't know if like someone shot a deer at like 4:00 on Christmas morning on your property. That's what I was concerned about.
Don't think you're allowed to do that, Matt.
I understand that. It still happens.
It does.
Not allowed to do a lot of things, but that's why prisons exist.
So yeah, that's something that I'll have to ask my parents because.
No, don't ask him. I'm going to say it was 100% real.
Okay.
That's what we're going to go with.
I will possibly make this a highlight for our social media, and my parents will watch it, and they'll probably be like, you do realize that we set that up, right?
Do me a favor. If that's true, if they did set it up, don't tell me.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. I'd rather not know. I'd rather not know.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think by the time you got older, you started to realize the meaning of Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then let's just say Santa's elves really didn't care and like was helping set up for the next day, and you saw it. That's why Mom and Dad was like, all right, time to go to bed. It's Santa's got to come, and he's coming a little early tonight. So.
Yeah, I mean, after Santa would come, like my mom would help. Okay, whatever. Santa's not real. Spoiler alert. Whatever. Listen,
you didn't say it. You didn't say spoiler alert. You said it, and then you said spoiler alert.
Yes, correct. Again, I think 100% of the people listening to this podcast know.
Okay, fine.
I hope. Sorry. Whatever. Did I just ruin Christmas for everybody?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh well. But no, my mom would be up till like 4 a.m. wrapping presents.
Oh, she'd be wrapping them that night.
Oh, she wraps them Christmas night. Yeah. To this day, wraps them Christmas night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go, Mom.
And then we'd be up at like 7.
That's why Mom and Dad always say you need to have coffee before you open presents.
And you know what? Now I'm at the age, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to open my presents till I get some coffee in me. Yeah. How the turntables.
Oh, how the turntables, my friend. Yikes. So yeah, Elf on the Shelf, you will never, I will say this recorded, published, so that way 30 years down the road, when I possibly am married and have kids, I can revert back to this podcast and say I will never do Elf on the Shelf.
I'm not going to make that claim because I don't know.
I'm going to make it.
But okay, good for you. I would prefer not to do Elf on the Shelf.
Now, there is a really cool tradition that I would like to include that Jenna's family actually does. And you set the tree, like you decorate the Christmas tree and all that. And Jenna's mom has a pickle ornament.
Oh, yes. April's family does this.
You have to find the pickle, and if you find the pickle in the Christmas tree, you win a extra gift or a prize per se. So yeah, that's a really cool tradition that I wish I had as growing up. So
yeah, April's family does the exact same thing. Sounds awesome.
It's a fun tradition. So
one thing that Santa still does for us, right? He sometimes we'll get like a box and we'll unwrap it, and there's just the note, and the note will say like, "Look in the oven." And we'll go to the oven, and there's the oven's not turned on. We'll open the oven, and there'll be a present in there. Or like it'll say like, go to the closet in the basement. We'll walk down to the closet in the basement. There's another present. Easter Bunny actually does that too.
Oh.
My parents. Maybe it's a collaboration. I don't know.
Collab. my when I was a kid, my presents as an only child, because the only child at the time, would all be addressed from Mom and Dad, but then there'd be one present that'd be addressed to old Saint Nick, jolly old Saint Nick himself, Santa Claus, to the point where he had to write letters, like actually had to write a letter Very neat handwriting, similar to my mom's. And that would be like the gift. Like my parents would tell confidently to Santa that this is the gift that Mike wants. Like I could have opened up 20 presents. That would have been the one I would probably be holding on to, playing with, or using the most on Christmas Day. So
awesome.
That's how. And then now it's just written, I think Mike, Trent, Philip, and it's in Sharpie on all the presents.
Hey, Santa doesn't have as much time as he used to.
Yeah, Santa. Yeah. He had to downsize during the pandemic, so there was a bunch of layoffs and furloughs.
There's an elf shortage. Yeah, it's tough.
Oh man, we haven't really talked about. We can talk about it after the pod or sometime when we have our next business meeting. We haven't talked about what we're doing for Christmas this year again. It's coming up.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up this week.
Yeah. Oh, this week we're going to have business meeting. Okay, great. Well, Matt, speaking of bringing things up, I tend to find some really unique headlines. And there's some that have been really weird. There's some that have been weirder. This one, I think, is the weirdest of them all.
I love it. I can't wait.
So strap yourself in. I'm going to read the entire headline. You clicked in? Click it or ticket?
Yep.
I'm going to read the entire headline. We're going to break it down piece by piece. Oddly enough, Matt, it relates to college football.
Love it.
So you ready to hear this?
I don't know, but give it to me.
So the headline from Daily Mail was, stripper called pole assassin who hooked up with Longhorns coach shortly after he left his wife and 3 kids defends her emotional support monkey after it was accused of biting a child at a Halloween haunted house.
This has been my favorite story of the college football season so far. I love that we're talking about this.
And you're welcome, because this is entertainment.
Yes. Where do you want to start?
Stripper called pole assassin.
Yeah. That might be the greatest stripper name in the history of the world. Pole assassin. You can't get better than that. You just can't.
So her real name, Danielle Thomas. So yeah, you're like, wait, what? Pole assassin is the owner of a 7-year-old white-faced capuchin monkey, Gia.
Gotta have a cool name for the monkey.
Is Gia not cool enough?
I don't think that's a cool monkey name.
You don't think it's a cool monkey name?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so pole assassin's boyfriend, Jeff Banks, who was a University of Texas football coach, is believed to have left his wife Corey and her 3 children for her. So on Halloween, go ahead, Matt.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, leaving your wife and kids for a stripper named Pole Assassin is a tough look to come back from. To start off, let alone this whole story.
So the question that I want to know, and I dug deep enough reviewing the article. I didn't want to search more. I actually was reading this at the dealership when I was getting my car serviced.
Awesome.
So the Wi-Fi that's at the dealership is probably like, what the frick is this guy looking at?
Might get a call from the FBI.
Worse than Pornhub. Like, come on. Which I would never do. Or can you even
never. Nope. I don't even know how to get to that website.
So the question that I want to know is, did Jeff meet Pole Assassin on like a dating app or like on the street at an event? Or did Jeff meet Pole Assassin at the strip club? That's what I want to know.
So I actually weirdly hope he met her at the strip club just so that he wasn't on like dating apps while he's married.
We've seen worse.
We have. That's also a tough conversation. Hey, honey, we have to get a divorce. I'm in love with a stripper named Pole Assassin.
I'm in love with the stripper.
Yeah. I also really need to know how she got the name Pole Assassin. I don't want to find out, but like, I'm not going to search it myself. If someone wants to send me that information, not gonna not take it.
I will not deny that information. Yeah, could you imagine finding, so let's just say in the scenario, like they met like on the street or like, dating apps or something like that. Oh, like, what do you do for a living? Both of them, both sides. Oh yeah, I'm the head coach for the University of Texas football. And she's like, oh, I'm a stripper. Like the awkwardness between that conversation occurring, I cannot even imagine what it would be like.
Apparently it wasn't that awkward. I don't know. I don't know.
So getting back to the story, on Halloween, Thomas invited neighborhood children around to her home to explore the haunted house in her yard. Still very questionable how, and I'm not dissing strippers. I've seen them on TikTok, see how much money they rack in on a given night.
Are you on stripper TikTok?
I'm not on stripper TikTok. It's strip talk. Could you imagine there was such a thing? Listen, it goes against community guidelines. We all seen how
right, correct.
Community guidelines are.
Correct. That's a fact.
Still very curious about this haunted house in the backyard. So a child apparently went out of the party area and into the backyard to where Gia lived in a cage, and the monkey bit her. Thomas angrily defended her, quote, emotional support monkey on social media, but then deleted her accounts. Second follow-up question.
Yep.
How is an emotional support monkey in a backyard in a cage?
Now that is a wonderful question.
Listen, I'm no doctor. I'm no person who prescribes emotional support animals. But the emotional support animals I have at least understood and know with some of my acquaintances, it's not locked up in a cage. It's usually with you most of the time.
Yeah, it's because it's supposed to provide emotional support.
Right.
Not sure. Now, maybe they just put it in the cage because the kids were coming.
See, that's still an argument I'd make. Like,
yeah, that's a fair argument, because if it's an emotional support animal, it should be able to provide emotional support and not bite kids. Also, the cage was just kind of pointless. Yeah. I mean, it's still a bit of kid. Also, I don't know if I allow my kids to go to a haunted house with a emotional support monkey. I don't know. That seems a little suspicious to me.
A little sus.
A little bit.
A little sus.
Yeah.
So, continued on. This was a little filler information. Her boyfriend, which I'm assuming is Jeff, is currently rumored to be in talks to take over at Washington State Cougars after their head coach was fired in October for refusing to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
I did not know that. This guy, I mean, what a time he's had lately.
And having first cheating with kids. Even though cheating just period is not good, not cool, but like
no,
it just gets worse when there's kids involved.
We disavow.
We do. We disavow. What do we disavow? We disavow cheating.
Racism. We've disavowed a lot of things. I can't think of it all.
That's true.
The two biggest ones, we disavow racism and cheating. I think we disavowed terrorism.
Yes.
Sounds right? Yeah.
Yes.
And we disavowed drunk driving last week.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's something else. But anyway.
It probably is.
Some random one where you just yell disavow. That's if Jeff wasn't the head football coach, I think this story would have never surfaced at all.
Oh, I think this is absolutely a story made for Twitter. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, well of course it is.
A stripper named Pole Assassin's monkey bites a kid on Halloween. That's absolutely making headlines. I don't think it's as popular. I think his fame helps him a little bit. My question.
Oh, you have another follow-up.
You're on the board of directors. I don't know who hires the head football coach for Washington State University. Does this have any impact on hiring him? This story have any impact? It
shouldn't, but we all know how biases are. Biases. It's tough. A hiring scenario like this is very challenging. But I would say my counterpoint is if they focus more on the monkey being bit, okay, understanding that was a scenario that happened. Okay, fine. But if the hiring committee is getting on the fact that cheated with his wife and kids, that is a liability and could possibly face legal charges if they don't decide to hire him based on that fact.
Right. It's integrity, and also how much extra noise is he's going to bring when he goes to Washington State. Like how much of this distraction had an actual effect on the football team. We don't know that. You can't really measure that, but that's something that they're probably going to have to consider.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it. I don't know. Maybe the monkey can be the mascot. They can change. They
have to interview the monkey
for questioning.
It'd be tough.
Oh man.
I think the moral of the story: no good can ever come from cheating on your wife with a stripper named Pole Assassin,
who has an emotional support
with an emotional support monkey that lives in a cage in the backyard
during a Halloween party. At a haunted house.
I love this story so much. I love it.
I read the headline and I'm like, oh my God. I said, Matt probably knows about it. Doesn't feel like he can insert it in his sports topics because it's very not sport related.
I just forgot. If we're being completely honest, I really wanted to talk about it and I just forgot.
So yeah, it's into the podcasting sphere and the podcasting world of the airwaves of the Funny Business Podcast and the world beyond. So
I'm also just really mad at the name Gia for a monkey. You pick a cooler name. Come on.
What would you name the monkey?
I don't know. I'm not in the business of naming monkeys, but Gia is just like, that's a bland name in general. I don't like the name Gia.
Sorry for anybody named Gia listening to the podcast.
Yeah, sorry. Just change your name, whatever.
Pole Assassin.
But for a monkey, like, you gotta have a cool ass name for a monkey. And Gia's just like, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me.
So if you had a monkey, Matt, what would you name it? In your own personal taste and opinion.
Are we assuming this is a female monkey, or can I just name any monkey? Any monkey?
Any way you want it. That's the way you lay it.
That's tough.
Any way you want it.
So me personally, I think I mentioned my pet monkey, my stuffed monkey, Charlie.
Yes. Charlie.
I would probably name it Charlie just for that aspect, because that's a personal attachment. If I wanted to pick a really cool name, man, that's tough.
Kong.
What?
Kong.
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 Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think that's probably the best one we're gonna come up with.
Lit.
There it is.
So word of advice: never cheat on your wife and kids for a stripper. Red flag if they own an emotional support animal named Chia. Monkey named Chia. And if they host any Halloween parties in their backyard, because you never know what's going to happen to the children in the backyard. So hopefully you all can relate to this story. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're actually going to be talking about sports with Matt. Let's say you start a podcast or you're running your own side hustle and have a bunch of links that you want your audience to know about. As a podcast, Matt and I have all of our social media, all of our podcast links, and other important things. Make it easier for your followers to find your important links, social media, and latest content by having it all in one page with solo.to. I'll be honest, I have used similar websites like this, but nothing compares to solo.to. All of your links are clean and easy to navigate. Have an upcoming video? It's really easy to make those changes. Plus, solo.to has opportunities to upgrade to include more customization, advanced analytics, and so much more. Solo.to is giving us a special opportunity for you to get 10% off if you create an account and upgrade. Be sure to go to solo.to/funnybusiness to create your account today. Solo.to, it's the way to go. Do you think, Matt, people are tired of hearing our Anchor ad?
Yeah, probably. But let's be honest, if it wasn't for Anchor, we would not be doing a podcast.
You're right, Matt. Once again, we have to thank Anchor for helping us continue to make each episode. Y'all know how it works. Anchor is free. It's easy to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, and distributes your podcast to platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more.
And you all know that you can make money too, even with the first couple episodes that you start with.
So why haven't you started your own podcast yet? Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm.
So, Mike, when do you think we'll stop talking about Anchor?
Oh man, Matt. You know what? To be completely honest, I think we'll be talking about this for a long time.
Okay, let's slide in the sports topics we have for you all today. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL, and the Detroit Lions played an absolute stinker of a game this past Sunday. They both tied. For the record, if Ben Roethlisberger didn't self-diagnose himself with COVID, he self-reported his own COVID. And this is not my own joke. Shout out, Part of My Take made a great joke on their podcast earlier this week that Big Ben just has a lot of injuries, and I think he's proud of his injuries. So their theory was that he was just boasting about his injuries, and it was just like, yeah, I have COVID, not knowing he wouldn't be able to play. Obviously, he did it for good reasons, because he had COVID, or he thought he had COVID. It's just funny to think that Big Ben's just boasting about having COVID, and he's like, well, you can't play now. Because that sounds like something Big Ben would do.
He probably has nothing to boast about anyway, so he boasts about all of his negatives. So.
Yeah. No, it's Big Ben's. He's not himself if he's not injured.
Hey guys, guess what? I pooped today. Yeah.
You know what? That's probably how he walks into the office. I wouldn't be surprised. The big story of this game, so the Steelers and Lions tied. Shout out to the Lions. They did not lose a football game. They didn't win one yet, but they didn't lose this one. So the big story, so ties in the NFL, they happen. Not very often. We usually get about one a year. And every once in a while, we'll have a player not know that ties can happen. Well, that happened this past week with Steelers rookie running back Najee Harris, first round pick out of Alabama. Mike, he did not know that you could tie in the NFL. I don't know how, but he didn't know.
I think it comes to those times where if it doesn't happen to you in a lifetime and you're not aware of it and it brushes over you, then okay, I can understand that, but you're hired to professionally play football. You should probably understand all the rules and conditions.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, especially now, like these stories come out all the time of guys not knowing. You should know. They probably get handed a rule book, or they probably have seminars that tell them. However, there's no ties in high school football. There's no ties in college football. Like he said himself in his interview after the game, like when they went to overtime in Alabama, they kept playing until there was a winner. Mm-hmm. So why the hell are there ties in the NFL?
Well, it goes to, we had a very long discussion with shot clocks in basketball. Mm-hmm. Shot clock doesn't show up until, in most cases, in college. And even that's a 30-second shot clock. And then when you go to the NBA, it's 24. There's no ramping up from high school to professional league. And yeah, you're right. Why? Because then how does that, and you would know this better than I would, how does that affect the standings? And how does that affect the score? Like...
it's tough. At the end of the year, they count more wins than losses. So if you're, let's say the Steelers end with a record, 17 game season. Let's make it easy, 8-1.
Okay.
If the Ravens finish at 9-7, I believe the Ravens win the division because they had more wins.
Right.
That being said, if the Ravens have like 8-9, let's say the Ravens finish 8-9, I believe the Steelers win the division because they had one less loss, even though they had the same amount of wins. Yeah, I don't understand why there's ties in the NFL. Like, what is this, soccer? Like, what are we doing?
Is this the possibility that we could? Well, no, there'd be no. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I was like, well, yeah. What if something like that in the Super Bowl happens? Or like,
okay, this brings up my next okay, the greatest quote. Every time someone says this in the media, it brings up Donovan McNabb. Okay. You all might know Donovan McNabb, longtime Eagles quarterback. I want to say like 2007, 2008, they tied with the Bengals. And Donovan McNabb, after the game, McNabb was in the league, I believe, for a long time at this point.
Yeah.
Played in the Super Bowl. He was like, well, I didn't know ties existed. And was like, no, what happens if we have a tie in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs? It's like, well, Donovan, Now, I'm going to excuse you from this because you're not a huge football fan.
Well,
Donovan's played in the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know there's no tie in the Super Bowl.
Right, but I'm playing yes, I did play dumb. Like, obviously, like, it's the Super Bowl. There has to be a winner with the Super Bowl. But why make a stipulation for regular season games when it doesn't apply to you in postseason?
Correct. That's the same thing with the overtime rules. Like, the overtime rules are different in the regular season than they are in the postseason, which is stupid. But if you're Donovan McNabb, you cannot admit to the media that you don't know you can't have a tie in the Super Bowl when you've played in a Super Bowl.
When you played in the Super Bowl.
That's one of the funniest quotes of all time. But yeah, just NFL, just get rid of ties. Just get rid of them.
Like, let somebody win. Like, now, soccer-wise, since you brought up soccer, like, it's points. Like, it's points-based. NFL, it's not. It's on standings. But soccer is based on points. So, like, a win is like 3 points. A tie is 1 point. I don't know the accurate numbers. And then a loss is 0. So, the more points you accumulate, the better you are in your standings, and the better you're qualified for cups and championships. So, I could see that being applied. But the NFL, it's weirder because it's more condensed. There's less teams in the NFL than any other professional sports organizations, besides the XFL.
R.I.P. Actually, they're coming back this year.
They are coming back. Yeah. It's very confusing that this is a rule. Like,
it's dumb. It's dumb. You want to talk a little soccer real quick? This is unplanned.
Sure.
I'm actually not going to make fun of soccer.
Okay.
The U.S. men's national team won a World Cup qualifying match against Mexico.
Oh, thank God.
So the World Cup actually, I believe, is in a month. It's soon. World Cup is this year, I believe.
That was
or is it next? Or is it no? It's during the next World Cup is in Qatar, and it's during football season. So maybe it's next football season. Either way, U.S. isn't in that one, but we might make the next one. So U.S. soccer might be back. And the cool thing about this past match, I believe the Mexico, are they called managers?
Like the coaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone on the Mexican
You're welcome.
soccer team, thank you. I don't know what I'm talking about, folks. Someone on the Mexican national soccer team mentioned something that when USA soccer looks in the mirror, they see Mexico, like digging at them a little bit, like Mexico owns them.
Yeah.
So Christian Pulisic is like the big new American soccer star. He's did you see what he did when he scored a goal? He scored a goal against Mexico, lifted up his shirt, and his white shirt was written. It said "Man in the Mirror." Yeah, badass. That's badass. That might. Go ahead.
That actually might be what.
That might make me watch a half of soccer.
Soccer celebrations are amazing. Like goal celebrations, like, and the clock doesn't stop, which is even better because like
makes no sense to me.
It's just
it's absolutely it makes no sense. I'm not getting into it. No, we're not getting into it. Absolutely not. Moving on. We're just gonna hit all the sports today. We're gonna talk some basketball. Mike, the NBA was just on something last weekend. I feel like there was like 3 different fights. The big one was Markieff or Marcus Morris. I think it's Markieff. They're brothers. Fun fact, they were drafted back-to-back picks overall. And another fun fact, they were both on the Suns. They had a joint contract.
Oh.
Yeah, which was weird then because they traded one of them away. It's a whole thing. Anyway, Markieff is now on the Miami Heat. They were playing the Denver Nuggets in Miami. And what happened was Nikola Jokic was just like dribbling up the ball. And Markieff Morris kind of came and gave him a little bit of an elbow. We'll get into that. But what happened was Markieff just started to walk away. Jokic got up and just shoved him in the back to the ground. And then what the weird part was, like, the players got close, but like there was no fight. I feel like there should have, like, you gotta have your brothers back there.
Somebody should have swung.
Yes. And then after Jokic got ejected, was walking off the floor. Then Jimmy Butler starts yelling at him, like, meet me in the back. And then, did you see that photo that had to be staged by the Heat? Did you see this? So the Miami Heat the whole roster team was like in the hallway, like waiting to meet the Nuggets afterwards, and they were being held back by like one dude. That was like the most fake photo of all time. Regardless, let's break this down, because there was a big debate on Morris and Jokic. Were they cheap, dirty, or both? So let's start with Morris, because he kind of instigated it. Would you classify that as cheap, dirty, or none, or both?
As if you're watching a YouTube video, I'm reviewing the tape.
I'm also going to need to review this as well.
So to put it this way, for everybody on the audio form, what happens is Jokic is actually bringing it up through the court. It's very rare that you see a big man like somebody like Jokic bringing it up as a guard. So Jokic is bringing it up. He decides to pass it, but the thing that he does is he actually takes steps to pass the ball. So Markieff, I believe, based on the stance that he was at half court, he was trying to defend or trying to deflect the ball. I think what he didn't realize was that Jokic was going to take steps. Like, he's going to take steps before he throws. Usually what happens is you pass before you throw. Like, usually you either settle, you either jump stop, or you pass and then you continue on. I think Markieff wasn't ready for the fact that Jokic was going to take steps and then pass, which that was, if you see correctly, Matt, he tried going in and deflecting the ball.
He did. Yeah.
And really, I mean, to be completely honest, Jokic's elbow was pretty close to hitting his head as Markieff was trying to go in to defend the ball.
Look at that.
So yeah. I don't blame Markieff for putting a stiff arm out. Like, he could have gotten elbowed in the head, and that could have been much worse of an injury than that. So I can't say that Markieff. Now, the shit that they gave him, what was it, a $50,000 fine? And
he got a lot of crap on Twitter.
Right.
But you're actually the first person that pointed that out. You were correct.
Sorry.
Because I'm glad. Because Markieff, when I paused it. Can I show it on screen? No.
There we go.
Okay. So he does. So I have it framed. So Jokic is holding the ball with two hands, and Markieff does have his right hand up like this, like he's trying to block it.
Right.
And then you're right. Jokic kind of does initiate contact, but Markieff also does lean a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna agree with you, because that you just enlightened me. I never really noticed that before.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna say Markieff was clean.
He was. I mean, now granted, I'm assuming I can't relate because I didn't see the whole game itself, but something could have happened where an altercation could have occurred down at the post, something like that. But again, you have a big man who's dribbling the ball, who doesn't necessarily have skill set like a guard. So of course he's going to be very unorthodox. It's like I said, it's very rare that a guard will take two steps, then pass the ball. And I think Markieff just wasn't ready for it. So I think Markieff is clean, which why I was so pissed off when I saw the video. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, he got ejected himself, and he didn't even go up and go after him. He's on the ground.
They brought a stretcher out for him.
But still, like, there wasn't any sense of like coming up and like going to that. Now, Jokic was cheap and dirty.
Yes, 100%.
Period.
Also, Jokic didn't even get knocked out of the ground.
No.
He barely moved. Like, if you look at the replay, Jokic took two side steps to the left, and that's it. Like, you are a tank, dude. Yeah, you're probably upset, but like, that was ridiculous. Mike, he got suspended one game for this?
And that's the thing that annoys me the most. Markieff got more flack than Jokic. And Jokic actually pushed him with no, I don't want to say no confrontation, but no competition for the ball. Like, there was no gamesmanship whatsoever of Nikola Jokic. Like, yeah, I was trained, not that I was trained, but I was taught that if somebody was holding on to your jersey, what you do is you take your elbow and you put as much pressure on the arm as much as possible. Guy will never do it again. Put your hand in his shirt. This man just pushed. He also
just looked over him. Like, he hit him, knocked him on the ground. He's just like staring at him on the ground.
Right.
Like, okay, cool, big man. Like, you barely got knocked down, and they had to bring the stretcher out for Morris.
Mhm.
I agree. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, go for it.
We always say the NBA is so soft.
It is.
And correct. And we love like 80s basketballs because they used to get in fight and nothing happened. Yes, he should have gotten more. However, maybe the NBA's not being as soft. Now, something like this was a cheap shot because Morris wasn't even looking. Mm-hmm. We had Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner kind of got into it. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
A little bit.
They just got fined. I'm cool with that. So maybe the NBA's actually like, hey, maybe we got to toughen up a little bit.
And I hate to be this person, but I think if the NBA was soft and Markieff Morris was called on that play as a foul, I don't think the altercation would have never happened. I think that's the issue.
Correct.
Like, play didn't stop. And Jokic was so pissed off that he took it upon himself to let him know how he felt about that play. But then again, it would make a difference if Markieff Morris stayed in his face. Like, if that was the altercation. Like, if Markieff is... wow, say mouthful here. Markieff Morris's... If he kept his stance and still gave him a stiff arm and just looked at him, yeah, I would say... I would come up and say, what's up? But he walked away. So, in my thought, with my explanation, that was just him trying to go for the ball.
I agree. And Morris, both Morris brothers are also the kinds of guys that if they meant to hit you, they would let you know they meant to hit you. Like, they would be like, yo, what's up, bro?
That's
like,
that. Yeah, I think that is always, I remember somebody saying, like, if you're going to foul somebody, you got to make sure you foul them that they can't do an and one. Like, yeah. that is how, not that that is how you foul, but like that should be a standard of how you should foul people, because the point of fouling somebody is to not score, and that was the point of you trying to go for the ball, was not them trying to not score. If they scored, then the whole point of you getting fouled was pointless.
Correct. Listen, you just crushed it. I really haven't seen anyone make that argument, so props to you.
Hey, is it Connecticut or New York? It's the NBA officials like headquarters.
Secaucus.
Yeah. Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I'm available. No, I'm just kidding.
There he is. Name your price.
Yeah, name your price. I got it. I'll be that freaking guy who they always call in on NBA on TNT and just like, well, if you take a look at the ball, like, no, just
gonna be the new Steve Javi. Be like, well, if you see the ball steps out of bounds, thanks. Like, I can see that from my TV. They don't call me for that.
just give it to me straight.
Really. Speaking of naming your price, we're gonna talk some Major League Baseball real quick. Yes, the Yankees have sucked this past year. Mike, I'm happy to report that it seems like they're gonna make some changes, because they are just talking to every free agent. They are calling teams left and right for their star players, and it seems like they're actually gonna make a difference. Some of the names they've talked to, there's 5 big major free agent shortstops. They've called all 5. They've talked to all 5. Not that they're signing all 5,
no,
but they're getting one of them. A tough pill to swallow, we can talk about this quick, is Carlos Correa, who shortstop for the Houston Astros. That would be a tough one, because he was a Houston Astro. However, he's a really good freaking player. Did you see what he said about Derek Jeter today?
Oh no. Something about his Gold Glove. I remember seeing a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, so Carlos Correa said that Derek Jeter did not deserve a single Gold Glove he won in his career. So if the Yankees end up signing Carlos Correa,
it's gonna be awkward.
I don't think they're gonna sell a single piece of merchandise.
Nope.
But again, I think after we would see him play for 2 months, be like, okay, we can put it aside. They've talked to Freddie Freeman, first baseman from the Braves. They've called the A's about their star first baseman, Matt Olson. They've talked to the Pirates about their star center fielder. Justin Verlander has been a name thrown out there.
Jeez.
So it seems like the Yankees are just going to be spending $300 trillion this offseason.
Name your price, baby. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much, which is, maybe George Steinbrenner is back. Maybe his spirit has has touched his son. Okay. I forget which one is still owning the team. Well, one of them passed away. I think Hal passed away. I think Hank is still around. And then Brian Cashman obviously is still the GM. But it seems like the Yankees maybe don't care if they pay the luxury tax. For those that don't know, so there's no real set salary cap in Major League Baseball like there is in the NFL and the MLB or in the NBA. But what Major League Baseball does is they have a luxury tax. So let's say the luxury tax is $250 million. So if you spend $190 million on your team, you don't pay the luxury tax. If you spend above that $250, then you have to pay a certain luxury tax. So it's more of like a spend as you will kind of thing. Mike, this isn't just the Yankees question. Should any team be concerned or mind about paying the luxury tax if it means that they end up winning a World Series or two?
See, I hate to put reality into this, but it's a reality that there is a luxury tax. Like, it's not something that's like team oriented. Like, this is just straight up like taxes.
Right.
Like, I hate to consider it, but yeah, I think to kind of pose your question a little bit better for me to respond to, if they win a World Series, they could say they spent every penny well spent. If they didn't, that's on them. Like, and what more luxury tax do they have to spend on in order for them to get the team to a World Series? But then again, we always find out how ridiculous the Yankees are when it comes to paying their players. We always chat about the cap space of any team, any professional team. That's why you see a couple of great players then instead of like Bryce Harper for the Phillies. Like, he's one guy that has max over
$330 million.
Something. Oh yeah, just really completely obnoxious contract. But then you have all the Yankees who are distributing their wealth evenly most occasions. I think Yankees are in just a weird league of their own when it comes to spending.
Yeah,
and that's just yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, I don't think teams should care. If they win the World Series, I think you can, like you said, you can say it's worth it. I think the bigger question is, should there just be a salary cap? Because let's take, for example, the Yankees have called the Oakland A's and the Pittsburgh Pirates about their star players. Two teams that cannot afford to spend even close to the luxury tax.
Yeah.
So when it gets to a point where they're not good anymore, and they know a star player is going to sign for a lot of money, they end up trading them for prospects. How fair is that there's teams that just because they live in a certain market or because they have certain owners that they can afford to pay luxury tax when other teams can't? Is that a competitive balance issue? Could there be a salary cap?
These are all great questions, Matt, and I think just the simple question is should there be limits? And I think there should be. Like, I think it prevents the super teams. It prevents, these obnoxious contracts that make it a little bit more enticing. But then again, it's the New York Yankees. Like, it's
right.
How
and I think it can work both ways, because we see a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think their total team salary this past year was like $50 million. So should there be a salary cap floor? You have to spend a certain amount, because let's be real. If you're the Pirates, even if it's $60 million, you can't build a winning roster with $60 million in today's day and age. You can't do it. No. You can't do it, because there's guys that themselves, their contract for a year is $20 million.
Yeah.
And that's one player. Like, yeah, they get a $100 million contract for 5 years. That's $20 million a year. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't cry and complain that you can't spend that much money when you're not putting any money into your team. Correct. I think it works both ways. But I also kind of like the uniqueness of Major League Baseball, that players can kind of make what they want, and it's kind of a pay at your own risk kind of thing. I think that makes it unique. And I think it adds a little spice to the life. I mean, yeah, does it stink that it's always the same 4 teams paying luxury tax. They're usually the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, maybe throw in the Angels once in a while because they're in LA, or the Cubs or whatever. Yeah, but that is what it is. I mean, we just saw the Braves this past year win the World Series. We've seen Tampa Bay make a World Series last year. They don't pay a lot of players. The Washington Nationals won a World Series 3 years ago, not paying a lot of players. So it is possible. Yeah. I think you just have to spend smart. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that will conclude the sports topics we have for you all today. It is time for a thrilling segment of Buy or Sell. Mike, I'm jam-packed with Buy or Sell for today.
Great.
So I am going to let you go first.
Oh, I thought you were going to let yourself go first.
No, I'm going to listen. I told you I have a great story.
Yes.
So I'm going to save mine.
Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. So my sell, I'm going to start with my sell, is Zoom operation.
Okay.
Virtual meetings. It is November of 2021, soon to be 2022, and people are still having problems using Zoom. Stop
tough.
That. Get some help.
Yeah.
Like
it's tough.
It is so bad, and there's times where I'm just sitting there, just waiting until it gets resolved, because I'm not hopping in to help.
That is not my job.
That is not my job. So yeah, Zoom operation is just ugh. And I also don't like to where in the cell where people have their cameras off, and like it's 2021 now, and most, if not all, people's have their cameras on most of the time. And also, and I should counteract with that. I'm going to contradict myself. People should have the right to keep their cameras off if they're in a meeting.
I agree. Yeah. But also, like, if it's a one, I've had this the little bit of Zoom I've had with work. Yeah. I've had like a one-on-one Zoom with someone and their camera's off. Just call me on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Just call me on the phone. See, that
scenario, but if there's like 40 people, you can have your camera off.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
Classroom 100%. Setting, you can have your camera off.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Correct. I agree.
That just goes to show that there's a lack of interest because you can't make your meeting, I'll put it that way, interesting. So,
yeah.
You can't grab the attention. You can't make it engaging. You can't make it.
Or you didn't shower that day.
Yeah, or you just rolled out of bed if you're still working from home, or
or your kids running around in the back
naked, like
right.
Can't have that.
Right. Correct.
And Matt, my buy is the Christmas spirit.
There it is.
On some occasions.
There it is. Love to see it.
Watch it. So I went to a nice little coffee shop that's right down the street, and I shouldn't say coffee shop. It's a bakery. It's a coffee shop. Like it's real bougie, as the kids would say these days. It's really bougie. And they had cinnamon buns, they had macarons, they had muffins, they had cookies, and they were playing Christmas music. And I like you feel like you have those out of body experiences, but kind of those ones where you kind of are your feet plant and you're still in your body, but you're just observing, your senses just crank up to a 13.
Yeah.
There's Christmas music playing and I'm like, this isn't that bad.
Right.
In the bakery. Right. Matt. I'm giving you an inch. You're giving me a yard here. Relax. So I'm okay with Christmas music and the holiday spirit in some occasions, but at work, when there's no Christmas spirit yet, no. Stop that.
Do what makes you happy, people.
I was... Sorry. Well, I cannot wait to tell you after the podcast.
Breaking news.
It's about my cell, and someone just texted me, needed technological help. My ears were ringing.
Your ears were ringing. That's a fact.
Yes.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Tiger. All right. I have two of each. I'm going to buy the New York Mets never being a competent franchise. Mike, They have a job posting.
Oh, wait, what?
The job is associate analyst in baseball analytics. Prior experience or knowledge of baseball is not required. Yup, that's the Mets for you.
I do have to say that I did see a statistic somewhere that 60% of working jobs required a bachelor's degree. It's now decreased to 42%.
Oh.
Where it doesn't, it's not requiring a bachelor's anymore.
Interesting. But when it's, right, so if it's baseball analytics, though, you should know baseball.
Yeah, well, come on.
Right.
It's the same as me applying for an NFL analyst. Okay.
Correct. Right. Yes, this is common sense. Maybe you want them to know a little bit about baseball. Just a thought. Maybe. Think about it, Steve Cohen. Maybe get off Twitter and maybe use your brain a little bit. I'm also buying Cracker Barrel. What?
Sorry, I thought you were gonna say I'm also buying crack.
No, Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. Yeah.
So April and I went to Cracker Barrel this past weekend, and she loves it. I mean, she was going bananas for Cracker Barrel. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, we can go. I did not have high expectations. It's fantastic.
You've never went to a Cracker Barrel?
No, I've been before, but when I was like years 8. Ago.
Okay.
Yeah, years ago. So I couldn't remember if it was that good or not. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. Fantastic coffee.
Did you play the game? Did you play the they have like little games on the table for you to play?
Our table did not have a game.
Wrong Cracker Barrel then.
Well, great coffee. It didn't actually have flavoring. I just used cream and sugar, but it was a great coffee taste.
Oh.
Food was good. People were nice. I love Cracker Barrel now. I was pleasantly surprised.
Shout out to Emily Wenzel. She's a waitress there.
Yeah, shout out Emily.
But
Recurring guest.
Recurring guest.
Yes. My sell. I'm going to start off with selling car shopping. It sucks. Car shopping is not fun, especially when there's limited cars available because of the chip shortage. My mom recently ordered a new car that she might not get till Easter. I don't know if I'm going to have to order a new car. I have hope that I can get a new one soon, potentially this week. That's actually on the lot, but it sucks. I went out this past weekend to some dealerships on a Sunday. A little life hack for you: if you just want to browse at cars, go on a Sunday because they're not there. You can just walk around.
I believe only in the state of Pennsylvania, though.
Oh, really?
I think that's a Pennsylvania law. You might have to fact check me on that.
Yep. Check your local legislation. But it was, I was thinking like, okay, cool. I can just walk around, enjoy the cars. The cars I was looking at, I went to a Honda dealership. They had 2 of them. I went to a Toyota. They had 1. It's a little tough. Really not fun car shopping right now.
I know. I'm in the very early process of my lease currently. And they're like, well, like you could do this or do that, but it all depends on next year. I'm like, okay, give me a freaking chance. Like, is it good? Is it not good? Like, yeah.
We could be Toyota brothers though.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yes.
Which would be cool. And then, Mike, I am selling the professionalism and integrity of the Catholic Church, specifically the sanctity of the sacrament of confession. Wow, do I have a story for you, my friend? So,
very, very rarely I add any unique scenario, but Mr. Editor Mike, can you add some like organ church music as Matt's talking about this?
Yeah, please do. So I have not gone to church in a long time. So this past weekend, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be at home for a little bit. I was hanging out with April later in the night. I was like, I'm going to go to church because I miss church. I miss going a little bit. So before then, I was like, I'm going to go to confession. I haven't been to church in a long time. Want to take communion for the first time in a long time with a clean slate. So me and my brother went right. That's right. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do.
Correct. That's what I thought. I thought I was in for a normal confession here, folks.
Oh God.
So So me and my brother we're sitting in the church before the priest got there. And as I walked in, I looked at the door because it usually says what priest is doing confession that day. It was a priest I'd never heard of before. I was like, okay, whatever. So he walks in. He looks very lost. Trying to find the lights in the little confessional room. Then he walks up to the door and he goes, "Sorry, folks, pinch hitting here. I'm new." I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. New guy, whatever. So he goes in. Guy before us that was there before us walks in. My brother walks in. Then I walk in. So I walked in, kneeled down, and I'm not gonna give too many details. But
you don't want to share with me what you confessed your sins?
No. So I start off, blessed be Father, if I've sinned. Started naming off my sins. That was it. It has been however long since my last confession. I've committed the following sins. So I said what I said.
What'd you say?
And I said what I said, and I said that is all. I kid you not. My priest goes, "Okay, yeah, buddy, listen." And I'm like, did my priest just yeah, buddy me in the middle of confession? What just happened? I just got yeah, buddied by a priest in the middle of confession. So I'll say the one thing I did say was that I missed mass due to my own choice. Whatever. I was taught that's what you say in confession. So he's like, was it more so you just woke up that morning and didn't feel like going, or like tell me a little bit about it? It was more so, and I was like, yeah, I was, which is fine. And I was like, no, it's more so I just didn't make the time and effort to go. And he goes, okay, that's a bit of a strange penance, but anyway. I'm like, buddy, what happened to no judgment in the middle of confession? Like, I'm telling you that I was not making the time and effort to go to church, and you're telling me that's weird? What is going on? I think I got pranked. I don't know if that was a real priest.
You should call him out.
Listen. So not only did I get yeah buddied, but I got made fun of the sins that I confessed. And then I get my active condition, absolutely nailed it. No big deal, not to brag. And then he starts trying to finish his sentence, and he's just stumbling over his words. Mike, he said the word sobriety like 7 times. I think I got pranked. I think it may have been a fake priest.
Maybe you got punked.
I think I did. When I got up to leave the confessional, I looked around like, am I on TV? Am I on MTV right now? What is going on?
How hilarious. I'm still cracking up because I will mention this, but how hilarious was it? Because before you went, you were playing Fortnite with Trent and I. And what was the one thing I kept saying every single time you talked about confession? I was referring to the TikTok meme, "Wake up, you sexy bitch. It's time to sin."
Yeah.
I wonder if there was any influence with that.
I don't know. But I never thought to get yeah buddied by a priest in the middle of confession.
Holy crap. The organ music behind that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So that was my Saturday afternoon.
I'm sorry. I don't even know if I can say I'm sorry.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to tell people.
I don't know how close, like, if it was a scenario by me, like in my hometown, like I have a close connection with my priest that's there, that I would say, like, I'd be upfront with him. I'd be like, look, guy, yeah, buddied me, which is something I would never expect a priest to have in his dictionary.
How do I explain my priest what yeah buddy is, though? Like, that's a tough conversation. What if he doesn't know what that means?
There was some slang inserted into our conversation that I felt very uncomfortable.
Okay. I don't know if he was just trying to, like, relate to me because he knew he could tell I was a little younger.
I think he was trying to.
I don't know. It's just, yeah, buddy. It's tough. It's tough to come back from. I almost just, like, didn't know what to respond. Wild. This could only happen to me.
You should have responded back, "Okay, boomer." Okay, Father.
Then I would have had to walk out of the confessional and walk back in and be like, "Bless me, Father. It's been 5 minutes since my last confession. Sorry about that."
Okay, Father.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
That was my experience.
Yikers.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh God, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, that concludes another fantastic episode of the Funny Business Podcast. If you'd like to confess your sins to us, make sure you follow us on our social media. You can find all of our social media at solo.to/funnybusiness. Mr. Matthew, on top of confessing your sins, what's your advice for this week?
So I think I briefly mentioned this at the top of the show. So Thanksgiving, this is the last episode that will be released before Thanksgiving. Load up on those side dishes, people. Listen, I love turkey. However, Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving dinner is made from the side dishes.
Mashed potatoes.
I think we've talked about this, though. You can eat mashed potatoes during the year. Load up on that stuffing. Mac and cheese. I think last year, didn't we rank our side dishes? Did we do that?
We kind of discussed about it briefly.
I think we did.
I tried a couple years ago. It's not stuffing. It was. I'm having it this year again. There's another thing for stuffing.
Filling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the stuff from the turkey. Yeah, that's good. I'm a huge green bean casserole fan. Love me some green bean casserole. I recently started eating the sweet potatoes. Maybe I'll dive back into those. Maybe, yeah. But yeah, it's all about the side dishes, people. All about it.
Corn.
Can't forget the corn. Biscuits or bread. Gotta have a good bread. Yeah, maybe a good what's those crescent rolls? Pillsbury rolls. Croissant. Yeah, but just enjoy your Thanksgiving meal. That's really what Thanksgiving, other than giving thanks.
Yes.
About watching some football, eating some turkey, eating some side dishes.
Recovering from a hangover.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Ooh, I've had lots. I'm a pie guy.
When
it comes to Thanksgiving for some reason.
If I had to rank my pies, number 1 apple, number 2 pecan, number 3 pumpkin.
Yeah, for sure. No blueberry.
Never really had a blueberry pie for Thanksgiving. Kiffles are very underrated. If you know what a kiffle is, you're uncultured, so you wouldn't know.
Excuse me.
Those of us that eat kiffles are very cultured people.
Okay, buddy.
We know dessert. Oh.
Can only imagine what you send, and you just said, "Okay, buddy."
Yeah, you're done.
Really?
Yeah.
Just making enemies along.
You know what? I'm in the Christmas spirit, so I'm not going to make you bleep out anything this week.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to refrain from what I want to say because I don't want to get buddied again for my priest at confession next week.
Everybody in the comments, anytime Matt, it doesn't know, but anytime a sports segment comes up, a end segment comes up, or anything from Matt's live stream comes up, just comment, "Okay, buddy."
I disavow that. I personally disavow. Do not do that, or I will be very mad.
I wish we had the influence to do that. But anyway, I'll stop the torture. And until the next time, we'll see you all in the next episode.
Stay safe, everyone.